says that we are on air.
What's up? What up? What up?
Is it going?
It's not popping up on your. Oh, yep.
You got it?
Yeah, we're going.
I got it too. Cool. Let me post on Snapchat and Instagram saying that we're live, and then see what happens. Tell all your buddies that we're live.
Yeah, go ahead and do that right there. Go ahead and do it right there, gosh darn right there.
Here we go. Boom. Save that. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of comments coming in.
Yeah.
I just posted that we were doing this. This was kind of like on a whim. I was just like, yo, want to go live? And Bobby's like, okay. So that's what we're doing. And today we're going to be focusing on some shooting tips for all of you guys who are interested in that kind of thing. But we're going to talk about that for a little bit. And then if you guys have any questions or any topics you want us to cover after we cover kind of our shooting tips deal, feel free to put it in the comments and we will cover those. So that's kind of how it goes with this whole live stream thing if you're new to it. But shooting tips. I've been asked a lot of times by a lot of people like for tips on how to shoot and kill more ducks. And I think the number one thing for people to realize is that it's not necessarily about your shooting. It's about how close you can get the birds in. You're going to make a lot more shots if you get the birds closer.
Right.
So if you're within 15 and 20 yards, which is what I prefer to shoot, and you're a decent shot, you're going to be able to kill ducks or geese or basically anything for that matter. And it also just comes down to practice. You know, you're not going to just be able to take a gun out of a box for the first time and hit everything that you pointed at, because for me, it's basically just muscle memory. I'm looking at the bird, I pull up with my gun, I shoulder it. I don't focus on the sights. I focus on the bird. And a lot of people tend to like close one eye and look down the sights. And when you're shooting a shotgun, that's not something that you want to do. You want to focus on your target with both eyes, and your hands will just instinctively follow with your eyes. So there's my tip for you. Bobby, you got one?
Well, I'm going to start off kind of like you started off first, and I think there's two sides to this deal. One side is, you know, the blind stuff, and like you were saying, getting the birds close. Getting the birds close in range, that's a whole another side to this shooting that has to be more important than even being a good shooter at sometimes. Now, I know we all make them last chance 40, 50, 60-yard shots every now and then and wonder how in the hell we did that. But learning how to, I think usually, honestly, if the morning's going rough, we will reset our spread literally one side at a time, whatever we think's necessary. We'll reset it 3 or 4 times while we're hunting. Say we hunt 4 hours, 5 hours, it'll be reset 2 to 3 times at minimum. And just learning how to reset your spread to get them ducks in that 15, 20, 25-yard range. I think that's the first thing to really focus on. But as far as shooting, you need to shoot. My tip is go out, shoot enough shells to where it's a knee-jerk reaction, drawing your shotgun and not having to, you know, think about where your face is if I'm touching it. All that should once it becomes a complete knee-jerk reaction, it's game over. Your shooting is going to get a lot better when you're not thinking about your posture or where your face is, how you're looking, something uncomfortable with how you're gripped up on the gun. So if you want to have better shooting this year, I recommend you seriously go put in some trap time. You can go just with a regular hand thrower with a buddy, or you can pay a little bit of money and go to a nice trap. But I recommend going out there and get used to shouldering that gun just like it's a normal knee-jerk reaction, you know.
Yeah,
That's my 2 cents.
that's a really good point. I mean, earlier, it's all about practice, and you need to be able to just have it down in your mind to where you're just pulling up. You're not worrying about the recoil of the gun. You're not worrying about your head on the stock or where your hands are, looking down the sight. You need to just have it be an instinctive reaction. When you pull up, both of your eyes are on that bird. And the best way that you can do that, there's two really good ways. Okay. One, in the off season, go shoot as many clays as you possibly can. You can never do that too much, and you're going to have a fun time doing it. So you're killing two birds with one stone. Another thing is to get better at shooting, don't put 3 shells in your gun. Put 1 shell in your gun when you're out hunting.
Yeah, true. It's kind of that's a mindset type of deal. Well, I have 2 left, and you just bang out the first one. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so if you put 1 shell in your gun, you only have 1 chance to shoot at that bird or whatever. I mean, you got 1 shell, so you can really only shoot 1 bird. But anyways, what I'm getting at here is if you have 1 shell in your gun, you're going to be focusing more on that 1 bird and your 1 target, and you're going to have that in your mind, and you're not going to be wasting shells either, because I've done it. I'm pretty sure everybody else who has duck hunted before, you just pop 3 shells off as fast as you can. But if you can take your time and really focus on that bird, your shooting is going to skyrocket. It's going to be so much better.
Right. And a really bad habit to get in is, let's say you're a hunter and you have good hunts. And what I mean by good hunts is you have big groups of birds come in, whether it's 10, 15, 20 birds at a time, and it kind of spoils you. That can be a good and bad thing being a new hunter, because as a new hunter and a new shooter, more importantly, is, like you just said, pick out the bird. That is the main thing. Pick 1 bird and do not, I don't care if you pick the bird and it ends up you in your peripheral vision, you're like, oh, but there's this one that's like maybe 5 or 10 yards closer. Just stay on the first bird that you choose. It doesn't matter. Do not pull the trigger. Make sure when you pull the trigger, you have not taken your eye off that bird. And if you get used to training yourself to just stick with the 1 bird until you see it go down, you will have a better percentile of successful shots. I think that kind of has came to conclusion to me real hard in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, another thing, like you were talking about with following through and watching that bird, follow through with your lead on the gun. Just keep swinging it all the way through, even after you pull the trigger. It's like with golf or baseball, you don't stop once you hit the ball. You follow through, and that just adds more force, and it keeps everything going. And shotguns are the same way. You're on the bird, you're gonna aim in front of it, and then keep the gun barrel in front of it, shoot, and keep pulling that gun whichever way you're going. And that's probably one of the most important things that a lot of people overlook, because your shot comes out in a string. It's not just one tight wad. It comes out in a long pattern, because what most people see on paper is just that circle with a bunch of holes in it. But your shot comes out in a very long string. And when you follow through, that string kind of moves, so you're going to have a better chance of hitting that bird.
Right. And let's say, you became, now you're a freaking professor when it becomes your first shot. So I think now we've stressed that your first shot is the most important shot. So let's say you bang them down every first round. Every time a group comes in, you bang that first one down. Now it's time. Now what can I do to get a second and or third bird? This is my first suggestion with trying to get doubles and triples, and this has also came to conclusion in the last couple of years. Shoot the load of shell that you're comfortable with. I know that a lot of times people think they have to use 3.5s, but I'll admit right now, running a semi-auto, when I try to go for that second bird right off the bat, a 3.5 bangs you so hard. I know we're all tough guys and whatnot. But I'm saying it bangs you so hard that your barrel lifts, and you have to get on the next bird that might have been beside that one that you already hit or whatever. So getting the barrel placement back en route before the birds leave too far, pick a shell that you're able to bang out. And if you can bang 3.5s and not get rattled that hard to where you're still getting your 2s and 3s, don't change anything, obviously. But for me, honestly, I love an 1.125 or 1.25 ounce. I know that's a little smaller than 1.8 ounce, but 1.25 ounce 3-inch 2-shot, and I can bang them suckers 3 in a row now, and they're nice and comfortable. I go ahead and when I put in an 1 3/8 ounce, boy howdy, I hardly ever double up because they bang me so hard. That sounds awesome.
Do
That
they
sounds
bang
awful.
you so hard?
They bang.
They bang you hard, Bobby.
Yeah, that's a bad deal. Sorry about that.
Another thing that you can do to help get into shooting 2 or 3 birds out of a group is when you pull up to shoot the highest birds first.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you pull up and shoot, those low birds have a lot longer time to get out of shooting range than the higher birds. So if you pull up, you pick off one of those high birds first, you move down, that next bird's going to be right in that same area because it's pulling out, and you're basically shooting at that same distance because you shot that highest bird first, and the lowest birds take a little bit longer to get out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's yeah. That's about 3 or 4 good old tips right there.
So,
yeah, that's some good stuff. I think one of the hardest things, obviously, you can concentrate on yourself and shooting a lot with practicing with trap, but like we said in the beginning, moving your decoys correctly, whether it be wind, sun, how the birds are wanting to come into your spread, or whatever the case may be, learning how to adjust not the whole spread, but maybe just a portion of it that matters the most. So you're only out there rearranging, however many freaking decoys in a field or in water and waders for so long, before you got another group coming in and catching you with your pants down. But that takes a little amount of time to really get consistent and good at. I'll be honest, my buddy Wade, my best friend, he's a freaking beast, man, when it comes to spreads, and he will know. I mean, snap of a finger, this whole flank, we need to arch it and blah blah. We need to put family groups there and there. It doesn't. Our edges are too hard, blah, or just, and it's a lot of times the first thing to react to is that they're seeing you. Oh, they're spotting us. The ducks are seeing, the geese are seeing us. Honestly, it's not. It's not that. We all wear enough camo, and we all obviously know how to blind. If you're in the field, if you're putting the time and the work in, you know how to blind up. So look at your spread, start adjusting that sucker. Don't be afraid to adjust that spread and adjust it and adjust it and adjust it, because you're going to learn whether it works or not. When it works, you'll definitely learn something. When you do a big adjustment and it works, you'll learn a bunch.
okay, so we got a question here. When you aim, are you usually aiming at the bird's beak? They actually have bills, regardless of the distance, or do you aim a good distance ahead of them further away they are? What I like to think about is if they're within about 20 yards, I basically just point my gun at them and shoot, because most of the time within 20 yards, they're flying slow. Yeah, they're flying slow enough to where they're just kind of cupped. I just pull up, bang, right in the head, because I like them finishing right towards me. But if they're going off to the side or flying up, then I usually, put a little bit of lead in front of the duck. And like I said, with that follow through, if you have a good enough lead and a good follow through, you're going to be able to just knock them right out. So it just comes down to practice. I can't tell you, like, if they're at 30 yards, aim this much in front of their head, because every shooter is different and every gun is different and every load is different. So take time and practice and just kind of keep in your mind and learn while you're in the field, because hunting and fishing or just anything outdoors related, it's all learning, and learning while you're doing it. And I'm talking, well, it's showing Bobby's face. Cool.
Hey guys, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so just take the time and learn and really focus in on it. So like, you go in for like, let's say basketball practice, and you're like, whoa, I need to work on my free throws. And you get out there and you shoot as many free throws as you can, and you really focus on the fundamentals. And shooting ducks and geese or anything, it's the same thing. Focus on the fundamentals, and with shooting, don't overthink about it, or don't overthink it, but keep in the back of your mind what you're doing and how it's working. So, it's hard to say like you need to lead this much, but if they're flying away, either side or up, put the gun barrel in front of where they're going. Shoot where they're going, not where they've been.
Yeah. I think over the years, one of the main thing that's helped me, and I'm going to talk about specifically when they're flying to a side. So the hardest shot that I can tell you right now, anybody, almost anybody it should be, is when, say you're laying on the ground or say you're on the edge of a pond, they're decoying into the wind, and when they leave with a hard wind. So let's say it's a 15, 20 mile an hour wind, and when they leave straight away from you. That is a hard shot. When a bird's leaving you, that is a hard shot. A side shot, I would say, is the second hardest shot. With side shots, the best way that I've learned to get better at those is dove hunting, man. Dove hunting's right before waterfowl season. Dove are pretty fast flyers. Most of your shots are going to be from the side with that mojo out there. Dove hunting for side shots is awesome. So easiest shot is when they try to leave your hole and they go straight up. I mean, those are lofty, nice, long, just concentrated shots. What are you laughing at, dude? I was picking my nose.
Well,
dude,
yeah, that, and like that's Luke always goes, that is my favorite shot. Straight up.
Oh yeah, that's the easiest shot for sure.
Like Luke's done it a couple of times where the bird lands in the blind.
Oh yeah, those are nice when you can just lay straight on your dang back and.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I recommend you getting into some dove hunting right before the waterfowl season starts because it helps a bunch.
Yeah.
A bunch.
Okay, so Nate asked us if it's a good idea to invest in a $high choke or stay with a basic one. And, it just kind of depends. I did a test with my Kicks High Flyer, and it patterned low and to the right, not as tight as the choke that came with my Benelli. So, it depends. It could change with a different choke or a different shell. So if you want to get an extended choke, like one that sticks out of the end of your gun, go ahead and do that, because it sucks when your choke tube gets stuck inside your gun, but it's pretty easy to avoid having that happen. Just take your choke out every time you clean your gun and put a little oil or packing grease in there, and you should be good to go. But also clean your gun after every hunt. That's very important.
I try to, if I hunt both Saturday morning, Sunday morning, or twice, definitely every weekend. I mean, you won't have the problems. Even I've had old guns that, man, if I didn't clean them every weekend, they would misfire on me a lot. They just wouldn't. The pin wouldn't hit hard enough, and you could see where it struck, but it just didn't because it was gummed up a little bit. And just making sure I cleaned them older guns every time, they worked. But now with this gun, it's a brand new gun, and I've just cleaned it every time, and I haven't had one single issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to do like a full cleaning either. You can just wipe it down. If you're going out the next day, kind of just wipe it off, and then wipe off inside the action. Spray
I think the
oil in there.
more you clean, though, honestly, just buck up the more you clean, the faster it's going to get. I mean, just like anything.
Oh, dude,
You know what I mean?
My Benelli has like 4 pieces: 2 pins, a trigger assembly, a pump, and a bolt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5.
Yeah.
And
I've made it fast, man. I get that foam stuff. I let it sit. I literally rip everything out, throw it down, foam it all up, let it sit, take a toothbrush. I take my air compressor and blow it off real quick, and just wipe it with an oily towel, everything, and throw it back together. And literally, I've got it down to probably 10 minutes for sure,
yeah,
just knocking it out.
that's all it takes. 10 minutes. Boom, done.
My new gun, it's a Franke, the Affinity.
Piece of junk.
Dude, it's a good gun.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Whatever. You're a hater. We all know it.
I'm
You're
not a hater.
on that dang Benelli kick.
I mean, I can't say anything bad about my Benelli.
No, they're good.
Yeah, my supernova, it's a freaking tank, and for $500, I don't regret one penny of that, because I don't have to baby the thing because it's only a $500 shotgun. It's a pump action, so there's not too many moving pieces. I mean, I've used the butt to just break ice and chop it. I mean, thing's a tank.
Yeah. Yep. He's asking about the Remington 887s and the 870s. Have you ever had one of them?
No, I've shot a Mossberg.
I've had the Nitro Mag. I don't know if you ever seen that gun. It's the Remington. I think it was I don't even know the number. I think it was an 870. Maybe it was an 887. It was one of the two, but it was the Nitro Mag. It was a 3.5-inch pump gun, and the thing looked badass. I mean, it had this ribbed barrel. I mean, the bad thing, it looked so cool, but then when you used it, it was real. For me, it was real bulky, real ratchety. I hated that gun. Hated that Remington Nitro Mag. I traded it in as fast as I could. I think I used it for 2 years. And me and my best friend Wade, he bought one. We bought them the same time. His barrel bent, and then we found out that it was a reoccurring factor that these Nitromag barrels were bending.
How the heck do you bend the barrel of a gun?
Because they were just weak, and any type of pressure, like literally any type of pressure, would slightly bend them. They were junk. I hated that gun.
That reminds me like Bugs Bunny bending the barrel of the gun up.
Yeah, it was awful. I couldn't hit a damn thing with that gun. I don't know if mine was bent. When I took it in, they checked it. They scoped the barrel and did all that crap and checked it, and they said mine wasn't bent. But man, I'll tell you what, that was the most uncomfortable gun I have ever owned in my life.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of shooting, having a comfortable gun. That is hands down one of the most important deals about this. It's not about it, to an extent. I'll tell you what extent it's about, to relying on what other people say about what guns are good. I went and got a Dux Unlimited cheap old TriStar, and I ran that sucker for 3 or 4 years. That's like a $280 gun or something, 3-inch gun, and I ran that thing for 3 years. And I'm hard on waterfowl guns, so you know how badly they get beaten up, sand, water, the whole 9 yards. And that thing, I would choose that TriStar again, well over that Remington any day, so find a comfortable, that gun just fit me perfect. So find a gun that fits you, find a gun you're comfortable with.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. This is just the main thing with any kind of waterfowl hunting that you see, because I mean, you have social media and you have YouTube and you have like TV shows, and they're all pushing everything towards you. Like, this is the best on the market. You need this. This is everything that you need. But what it really comes down to is your personal preference and you and your style.
Yeah, and your budget, Well, and your budget for sure too. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
freaking they love. You know, I'm not. I love Benelli. I love them. I love them. But with like you're just saying, Instagram, social media in general, you know, companies have tactics which, hey, it's business, and when you're sponsored by them, there's things you're obliged, you have to be obliged to do. But definitely when they get the right people on board, you know, like Tony Vandemore. I'm sure everybody knows who Tony Vandemore is. You know, he is such an influence in the waterfowl community, and the right company got a hold of him, and then now they're profiting huge off that. But the trendy thing isn't always going to be the most financial thing to do, and there again, you might get just as much use out of a gun that costs half the price. You know,
Yeah.
so
But you know, we're not telling you don't go get whatever you see on social
yeah,
media. I mean, that's your money. You can spend it however you want.
right. Oh yeah, yeah.
But I'm just saying that, you know, it's find something that fits you and you're going to enjoy it more than just getting something on a whim. Oh, I saw this. This is like the newest gun. I'm going to just buy it. And, you know, a different gun that's been out longer might fit you better and you might have a better time shooting it than
Right.
that one that just came out and it's brand new and there's a bunch of hype on it.
Right. Like I'll be the first to say, in our hunting group, there's, you know, a steady 7 to 10 of us that always hunt together every weekend. And I've been the one person for the last 5 years that has had a junk gun every year. I have not, I haven't had a nice gun. Like everybody else went and bought, you know, Black Eagles and twos. Everybody bought Black Eagle twos. One person bought the Affinity like I have. Another bought you know, the A5 and whatnot. So they all had great guns, and I was over here using screwdrivers and crap trying to unjam my bolt every dang weekend. So, and I did that for 5+ years. So I just didn't want to spend the money. The gun shot well when it would shoot, but I just didn't want to spend the money. So, you know, don't be influenced to try to keep up with people that you can't with money. Anything works out there. You can take your grandpa's 2 3/4 inch and get them ducks close enough, and you're going to shoot them. So,
Oh, dude, I was shooting 2 3/4 inches 2 weeks, 2 3/4 inch 4-shot at ducks
oh yeah,
because my Walmart, that is the only duck load they had because I guess they had somebody new come into the outdoor department. And they didn't know like what shells. Like we had 2 3/4 6-shot. Like it was either that or 2 3/4 4-shot, which I bought like the last 2 boxes of that, and then there was like that was it. That was that was the only shell. So I was shooting 2 3/4 inch 4-shot for a while, and I didn't notice a difference. I killed ducks because I shoot
right.
them. I shoot them close to where my pattern's like this, so it really doesn't matter.
We have a couple good questions here. One, what's your favorite ammo, Josh?
My favorite ammo. I don't think I have a favorite ammo. I just shoot the Winchester Super X's because they're cheap.
Yep. Cheapos.
But
And
I
they're not
did,
that dirty of a shell, dang it.
yeah, I do notice when I shoot Federals, just the regular Federals, the 3-inch 2-shot, for some reason it feels like the gun likes those shells better than the Winchesters. It shoots them a little cleaner, and well, not cleaner, but like the Federals are dirtier than the Winchesters, but it just cycles cleaner. Even though I have a pump, it just feels better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just did a video on ammo. I put it up yesterday or something, and one guy had a comment say, "Well, go ahead and cut open those Super X's, and you'll see how junk they are compared to other ammo." Well, I mean, hey, I'll tell you right now, I'm not concerned what the inside looks like. I'm just concerned that it comes out the same. So if they cut some corners and don't make the insides as strong or whatever the heck,
No, what it
they
is
kill birds, you know.
the BBs themselves. I bit into one when I was eating one or eating a duck, one of the things that I saw was the BB wasn't perfectly round. There was like a little nipple on it. Like they string it out and then they crimp them and then it cuts them off, and then they never like rounded them out completely. So some of them are just a little bit odd. But I mean, if you really think about it, what do you think black cloud ammunition is?
Exactly. Yeah, they
have that like thing around them.
Yeah.
So I guess technically you could really say that the Super X's are more like black clouds.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it really doesn't matter if you hit the dang bird.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone asked about Tony Vandermoor and how he gets that big. Well,
He built Habitat Flats, didn't he?
Exactly, Habitat Flats. That is, you know, the most epic guided hunting that you could possibly pay for in your life, the best. And Habitat Flats, I've had a couple friends that's went, and it is everything that you hear it to be. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's in northern Missouri.
Yeah, it's in Missouri somewhere. I think it's in like southeast Missouri.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I don't know. I know it's in Missouri.
It's in Missouri somewhere. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah.
I just kind of just do my own thing, you know.
Yeah.
I just go through, go to class, shoot ducks.
Now you're working. Now you ain't got all this extra time.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I got done with class on, what was that, like Thursday, and I went to work and I worked for like 7.5 hours. I got off work at like 8:30 after I got done with class. So time's getting a little short for me.
Welcome to the world. Now throwing a couple kids, man.
I don't need that right now. I don't need that.
Yeah.
No.
It gets time consuming.
I'll let you deal with that.
Oh yeah.
Old man.
A little bit of coffee on the side never hurt anybody.
I love coffee.
Yeah. Well, is that all the questions we're going to get on this here deal?
I'm thinking so. I mean, we got one asking about heavy shot. I've shot it and they killed birds. I was able to kill some birds at longer distances with heavy shot that I wouldn't have been able to kill with the Winchesters. I noticed that the first time I shot heavy metal at geese, you know, those 45, 50-yard shots where they're kind of going away and you're like, you know, I could probably make that shot. I killed more with the heavy metal than I did with the Winchesters. Now, is that reason for me to go out and buy a $30 box of shells? For me, no. I'm a broke college student, so I don't want to spend $30 for a box of shells. But
yeah. I guess it's. I don't like spending that much money. I haven't seen the amount of difference to justify buying them. The only time I buy them is when that's all that's left on the shelf, to be honest with you. I love the ammo. I love the shells. Great ammo. Killed a lot of birds with them. But you know, if I have an option, for sure I'm going to save myself $8 or $10 a box.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that a lot of people don't realize, I mean, a good percentage of people don't realize, I'm sure most of the population knows this, but heavy steel is plain regular steel shot like you would have in your Federal shells or your Winchester shells. Nothing different. It's just made by heavy shot, so they put the heavy name on it, and that's why it's a little cheaper than the heavy metals. Pricey, in my opinion, but they're just plain steel shots. So you're paying for the name.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, I agree. It's definitely a money-making business, I'll tell you that.
It's all marketing. That's all it is.
Oh, we put so guys, we put an extra 15 million in our marketing this year. We're gonna have to up the price per box.
I mean,
oh
if
boy!
you're really thinking about it, and you buy a box of heavy metals, it's like $1.25 a shell. Like, think about that. You just throwing a couple George Washingtons at them every time you get a group.
Exactly. Especially if you go and buy 3.5s out of, 3.5s out of a high brand like that. Oh my God. That's a good question.
Steel shot's just expensive.
Yeah, that's a good question. Do we buy in bulk? There's been a couple times where we've came across some online deals or something, or some local outfitters hooked us up on their deals that they got, and we bought cases at a time where 5 of us went in on like 5 cases, and that was nice. We always had them in the trailer, but I'll tell you, buying in bulk, you're gonna shoot a lot more than you need to, because you have a bunch of shells. So in the end, I don't know if you're really saving money by doing it, because when I have a bunch of shells, I tend to blast through them more. But buying in bulk, you can initially save a lot of money sometimes, up to 20 or 30 bucks. That's a couple boxes in itself. So I recommend finding, obviously, if you can find the deals. I know actually Cabellas has a deal on cases of, I can't remember which one right now, but it's like 20 bucks off a case.
Yeah, and if you guys want to know more about shells, Bobby just made a video on it on Friday. He posted it. So on Bob's channel, he's got all you need to know about shotgun shells and prices and stuff. So as for me with buying in bulk, I don't, but I'm probably going to for this next season. I mean, with the way things were this past season, with Walmart not carrying the shells that I needed, like I had to drive to Kansas City just to buy shells. It was stupid. So, I'm probably going to buy a case of 3-inch 2-shot and, see where we go from there. But I normally just buy them, 1 or 2 boxes at a time.
Right. Yep, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I usually will take 2 boxes with me on a field hunt, just because I know that I burn through 2 boxes a lot of times. So that's about 2 boxes about all I'll ever need.
Yeah, and when I go out into the field, I only take 1 box with me. I think it's ridiculous if you're carrying more than 1 box, because you can only shoot 6 ducks. If you're shooting 6 ducks with 25 shells, you need to get some practice in. That's a pretty poor average. But I mean, on my first dove hunt, I shot 6 doves with 100 shells. So I don't really have much room to talk. But it's growing. It's getting practice in and getting better. And once you feel like you're proficient enough, take what you need, and you're not going to be carrying all that extra weight, which I know on public land it comes down to ounces because it gets heavy when you're walking everything in.
Right. Yeah, and then on private land, on fields, there's a lot of times that we'll hunt and we'll set a spread up if the season offers it. If duck, specs and Canadas are all open, that's a big limit. Each guy that if we fully limit out, that's a lot of birds. So that's if everything's open, for sure, two boxes.
Well, yeah. So like, I normally carry maybe 10 goose loads and then a box of duck loads.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there could be times where I'm like, oh, there's some geese. They might come in. I pump out my duck loads, throw some goose loads in, and then see what happens from there. So, it also just comes down to what do you feel like you're going to be shooting, like based on your scouting. What did you see in the field or the pond or marsh or whatever? So keep that in mind.
Yep.
How do you deal with people that just come and hunt around you when you're there first? Ooh, on public land, I've had people set up within 50 yards of me. Like, seriously, I could see them. I could hear them talking in their blind. And when it comes down to that, we just dealt with it, shot what we could, and
Yeah, that
there's nothing.
sucks. That's the negative to public land, that it sucks. A lot of people, their only option is public land, so you gotta get there freaking early, and hopefully the guys that come in respect you enough to give you the amount of distance that is needed. So hopefully, the biggest tip I can tell you: get there early. Get there early. You're gonna freeze your butt off sitting waiting for the sun to come up for a little while, but at least you're there. Have a couple lights on so they can see you from far away, so they don't walk up close to you and not know you're there. So always have a light
Yeah.
on out there. Have your headlamps on at all times, and they'll see you.
I mean, even then, like this past season, I was at Meridazine for an all-day hunt. We were in the marsh all day, and we had people just walking right straight through the marsh within like 50 yards of us, and then they set up like 75 yards, and we had people set up like right on the other end of us within like 75 yards that way. We had people 75 yards behind us, and it just comes down to people are going to set up where they want to set up. They don't give a rat's ass if you're there or not. They will pepper you all they want because they're like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to plop here and try and shoot some ducks. So, it just comes down to being ethical. And if you can prove that you can do it, maybe pay it forward or whatever. Lead by example.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at here. Lead by example, and maybe then people will start to follow along with that and give people space, because it's not that by setting up close to you, they're just ruining their hunt as well as yours. So what's the point?
Yeah, all you can hope is they figure that out when their hunt sucks and they're wondering why. But on now, that's public land. On private land, we have here's a lot of times that I know a lot of you have probably ran into on public or on private land. There's a lot of farmers out there in heavily populated waterfowl areas. Maybe there's a lot of roosts, and there's some farmers out there that every year they'll just give out permission because maybe they don't want to do the whole insurance deal and they want to actually try to keep the birds off of their planted wheat over the winter. But those, if you're dealing with a farmer that gave you the permission easily, and if you didn't ask, if you're asking for permission, always ask if they gave it to someone else, and be nice about it when you ask. You say, hey, I'm just wondering. I just don't want to run into anybody, in the morning, and they're going to tell you, yeah, I gave Tom, Dick, and Harry all permission. So when you know that, hopefully he'll know if one of them's hunting. But if you know other people have permission and you don't know if anybody's going to be there, one of you draw straws, buddy. One of you got to get there early. And if it's a filled goose hunt, man, you got to get there early, just to make sure you got it.
Most of the time, the farmer will just say call like the day before. At least in my experiences, they say just call the day before, make sure it's okay, and get the go ahead. And you can avoid those type of issues just by calling ahead and saying, hey, can we hunt this place tomorrow? And
see, and one of our main properties, we have a bunch of sections that this one guy owns. So this one guy is the farmer that he'll let anybody hunt because he wants them off all the wheat. So he knows the hunters are going to chase him field to field and keep bumping them off of his property. So this guy in particular, he gets sick of having calls about people asking. So he'll literally just give you permission. And so he don't know who's hunting, and that's just the way it is. And there's been many a times we've gotten there before people and they show up and they have to leave because we're already there. And they'll ask, well, can we sit up in this corner and you're in that corner? Well, no, we're not hunting the same quarter section here. A quarter section's only so big. And yeah. Are you? Hey, real quick, are you talking about Gerald from Wichita? Because Gerald, I hunt with Gerald literally almost every weekend now. That's cool. But Gerald, he's the one that does the white snow, shooting dark geese and white and all that a lot. And he's a beast, man. Tell you what, good lordy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think it's been good. Thanks for joining us today. And check out Bobby's channel, Bobby Guy Films. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we'll try and keep doing some more of these live streams. We just kind of, today was just kind of on a whim. We were just like, hey, let's see what happens. And
Right.
so that's the whole point. But normally we give you some notice in advance. So follow us on our social media, and you will get
A minor notification.
a minor note. There we go. You'll get an idea of when we're doing the next live stream. So, got anything else to say, Bobby?
I'm good. Have a good one, fellas and gals.
All right. Yep. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.